this marketing event that we're put together for this year, in my mind, it's going to be no doubt the single most effective and the greatest impact on your personal injury practice. And what it is, it's going to be live educational sales presentations to your list of attorneys. That's what it is. And let me just share with you, we're doing some of the finishing touches now. And we'll do some dry runs here in the next couple of weeks. And then we're going to be going live, right around the beginning of next month. But let me just share with you how this is going to work. As you know, or most of you know, we had tremendous success with our educational sales presentations last year. Not just me personally, but the doctors who actually performed them had tremendous success. I personally I did 7 presentations to about 110 attorneys. We had about 98% of them sign up to refer their clients to our offices. So it's tremendously an effective marketing tool. And so what I'm doing is I'm leveraging that. So I looked into how can I leverage that for more than that one doctor that I did the presentation to that night. And this is exactly how we're doing it. So we're creating a network of doctors. And I'm going to kind of walk through right now the steps of how this works. But essentially what happens is you get your list together. And you should have 3 lists. One list is your attorneys who you've worked with in the past. Your second list is the Trial Lawyers Association list for your county. And then the third list are the personal injury attorneys, those marketing themselves as personal injury attorneys for your county. Those are your 3 lists. And then what we do is we're going to send the primary way we're going to contact them in multiple ways, but number one is we're going to send them and not even send, we'll drop off like a jumbo postcard. And remember, we're not talking about a lot of people. We're not talking about 500, 400, or 1,000 people. So we'll have some jumbo postcards made up with the right topic, and essentially the topic is going to be the major topic that grabs their attention with the subtopics. And it's going to push them to a sign-in page, a sign-up page for a free live webinar. And it's a free live webinar series. So it's not just one webinar. And this is unbelievably important relative to selling and building and maintaining the relationship. So not only will it help to sell them, it'll help to build the relationships of the attorneys. It'll help sell new attorneys you're trying to create referrals from. It'll build the existing relationships that you do have. And then the most important thing is to maintain the relationship with the attorneys that are referring to you and build that relationship. So it's a phenomenal tool that we're putting in place here, and we're leveraging it through all your offices. And how this works is, so you'll have your list of attorneys. We'll get the jumbo cards. We'll deliver the jumbo cards to them. We'll make the phone calls and the emails. In other words, we want to create a high awareness that this activity is going on. And what we're going to be doing is live webinars weekly. Let me say that again. A live webinar weekly for your personal injury attorneys. In other words, I'm going to be doing live weekly educational sales, personal injury attorney presentations every week. Now, how this works and how you benefit from it is you will be one of the network doctors. So, in other words, when I talk, I'm going to be talking in terms of, the network of doctors that I have throughout the country, et cetera. And you can be one of the network doctors. and how you get credit and all that is, or authority, is we're going to put, when we push them to sign up, they're going to sign up from your page. So we're going to give you the code for the opt-in sign up. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you so we create a page on your website. That's the first thing we do. We create a page on your website. And it's going to be, the title's going to be yourwebsite.com/how to stop low ball offers. Okay? That's going to be the page. When you go to the page, that, in other words, that's the link. That's the link that they're going to get on the marketing, on where they can go to get the information and the live free webinars. Now, on that page, there will be the content. There'll be, the title, subtitle, all the topics that are going to be covered and all that. And then there'll be you. Obviously, there'll be a picture of you and a few bullet points of your bio, some of the main parts about your bio. So it's on your website. You're on the page. This is how you stay incorporated and get authority from all this. So your attorneys are going to be viewing it through you. Another chiropractor in another state, his attorney is going to be viewing it through his website. You see, so this is how you gain and keep authority. Now, what I'm going to do is give you, so that's where they can sign up. And then they go into the autoresponder. Now, so they get notices and updates and all that kind of stuff, but they also get the live links. Now, then the live presentation is, I'm going to give you also a link for the live presentation with a password. So it'll have a password. It's got to have a password. It can't have just anybody willy-nilly looking at it. And remember, this is content you don't want out in the public. This is what's called industrial content. So it's between professionals. It's not content you would talk about to the layperson or your patients in general. So you would not want them to have access to it. So they get a password, and it creates a value too when there's a password. So they get the link and the password, and they go to your page, yourwebsite.com/how to stop low offers. Boom, that's where they get the password and put the password in, and then I'm going to give you the video embed code. Now, either you can do that, whoever's doing your website can do it. You just tell them to embed this code, and basically it's just a window, that's going to ask for the password for them to access the live webinar at that particular time. So that's how that works. And then as I'm talking, I'm always going to be referring to the network of doctors, essentially, who've been certified in this type of documentation. That's how that all works. And that's how you get credit and authority. Now, let me go over how extensive this is going to be. I think this thing is going to get huge, to be honest with you. Because this is all the information that the attorneys want to know. So this is a sample of the material that's going to be covering, and this is a rough draft. I'm still adding to it, and we're cleaning it up. But this is the rough draft of all the material that we're going to be covering weekly. Essentially, it's essentially an educational course for attorneys on how to win lawsuits. That's what it is. So it's How to Stop Low Offers is the title. Injury victims supported by doctors and lawyers working together. So that's the principle that we're working on, is injury victims supported by doctors and lawyers working together. That's the USB, the unique selling position, okay? Live webinars for personal injury attorneys and doctors on. And now I go through all the big topics we're going to cover. So it's the main one is how to stop lowball offers and win policy limit awards for the minor impact soft tissue spinal injury. We talked about how important the title is and specific the title is. And then subtopics include the doctor's documentation necessary to defend against the pre-existing injury argument, the doctor's documentation necessary to defend against low property damage argument, and the 4 documentation categories necessary to win a policy limit award. So remember, all those topics those are the hot topics that get a lot of attention. Then it goes into the 7 major topics outline. So this thing is pretty extensive what's happening here. Number 1 is how to document the top 5 financial drivers, including 14 objective findings, impairments, and loss of activities of daily living. Now remember, these are big categories. The 4 categories of the doctor's documentation to defend the patient and injury claim, the 12 documentation categories to a successful narrative report, deposition, or trial testimony, how the doctor's documentation determines the 4 types of insurance award offers, the documentation necessary to support 4 injury awards for a policy limit, how the the 12 documentation categories of a narrative report sets up the injury award, the doctor's necessary documentation and 12 steps to support a successful deposition or trial testimony outcome. So we're not just including the top 5 categories, we're including the narrative report, depositions, and trial testimony. Supplemental categories include how to use injury magnifiers, how to use the difference between subjective, hybrid, and objective evidence to support your injury claim, how documentation of active, passive, and joint motion is the foundation of the injury award, why activity of daily living impairment indexes must be documented with passive overpressure range of motion and not active range of motion, how to use the science of the 3 phases of healing to support impairments and restricted activities of daily living. Remember, these are all the things they don't know that they have to know and they have to be familiar with to win cases and stop low offers and win policy and awards. Now, then the next category goes into deposition and testimony topics include the 12 categories of documentation for a deposition or trial testimony, the 7 common preemptive strikes to diminish the defense arguments, how to establish the doctor's authority, how to establish the patient's credibility, how to use the science of the 3 phases of healing to determine impairments, how to explain the patient's painful restrictions using the science of the 3 phases of healing, how to justify and apportion pre-existing injuries. So you can see this is a nuts to bolt. Basically, it's going to be a live educational series. Now, this is the rough draft. We'll be cleaning up a few things here and there, but there is tremendous amount of content here to grab the attorney's attention. Now, so we'll take them through all the big categories, the top 5 financial drivers, the 4 categories to defend the case, the 12 steps to support the injury award, the 4 types of injury award offers, the 4 types of injury awards based on the doctor's documentation. But we're also going to include all these other topics relative to the narrative report, the deposition, trial testimony, and put a lot of emphasis relative to impairments and ADLs, which are the 2 most important categories of the injury award. So this is a monster. That's why I'm pretty excited about what's going on here. And I carry the weight. So you don't have to set it up. You don't have to do it. You don't have to know all this information. I do it all, and then you get the benefits of it. And we'll go through the steps, but essentially what it does, like I said, is new potential attorneys that you want to create business from, referrals from. This will be a great opportunity to get it going. The existing attorneys, it'll help to increase and solidify that relationship, as well as post And remember, one of the biggest problems that doctors do after they do get referrals from attorneys is they don't follow up. And that is killer to the relationship. And so this does all three. It sells them, magnifies, and it's the follow-up. And it'll be on the autoresponders. Now, what that means is that they can sign up anytime, and they'll start from the front. So they'll automatically get the recordings of past events in the order that they should get them. So what they'll get initially is the warm-up and the presentation. That's what they'll get initially. And then from there, we're going to go into detail all of these topics one at a time and then refer back to all of them. So essentially when they sign up, they can sign up any time throughout any of this, and they won't be out of step, because the first few videos they'll get is the educational sales presentation. Then they'll get the automated follow-up ones, and then they can plug into the live ones. So that's why it's like 24/7. Okay, so now that's the content. Now, how's it going to be delivered? Or I talked about how you benefit and how it supports you through your website. It's live through your website. It's your password. The page that this is on has all your. It's not only on your website, but it has your little bio on it. And I'll send out an example. Everything I'm telling you about, I'll send out. I'll go, this is what it should look like. So you have your little bio there. So, and then when I reference everything, I'm always going to reference you as third party, such as one of our doctors who have been certified in this documentation process. Okay, we'll go into that more, but that's how you get all of it. And then I'm always going to send them back to you for more information and the follow-up, which is what you'll have to do. This will pretty much do everything for you, but you'll have to go there and do the sales presentation to put the nail in the coffin, so to speak. But they've essentially are already going to be pre-sold for everything and continue to be supported and sold for everything. You just got to learn, and we'll go into that specifically, the steps of you following up with them periodically, as well as them calling you, for you then to do a light review of the educational sales presentation to nail it down, and then start the referral process. So, okay, so what else now? We're going to do this the first 3 weeks of the month is what we're looking at, the first 3 weeks of the month. The day, we'll make that definitive, but I'm probably going to do it on a Wednesday. It may be a Friday, and a lot of attorneys have more free time on Friday, so I'll be thinking about that. But what we're also going to do is keep it short. We're going to keep this under 30 minutes, so it's no big deal for them to hop on. It's pretty easy to hop on a webinar for 20 minutes, for 20 to 30 minutes. And by the way, just so you guys don't know, the average time that somebody will stay on a webinar when they have an interest in the topic. Remember, if there's no interest in the topic, they don't even click the link. That's people say, you got to keep videos short, blah, blah, blah. No, if you're giving them the information they want and need, that's not the case. The average time is 22 minutes. 22 minutes people will stay on a webinar if it's information that they want and need, which of course is what this is for personal injury attorneys. But the goal is to cover one of these topics. Now you can see this is a lot of information. So even one of these categories will have multiple subcategories that are 20 to 30 minutes long. So each one of these, in other words, these are not the only topics that are going to be 20 to 30 minutes long. There's a lot of subtopics involved with all this, which is fantastic for the educational sales process. Now, as far as because remember the importance of multiple contacts, and giving them the information that they need. Always, if they're not interested in this particular topic one week, there will be another week that, that topic they will be interested in. Okay, so we're gonna shoot for 20 to 30 minutes, make it relatively short, so we can get to the point. So essentially, when they log on, I'll take them through a short video series, and we'll break up the educational sales into 3 or 4 videos. There's no way we're going to have them try to stay on for 2 hours. We won't do that. So we'll break it up into about 3 or 4 videos, excuse me, initially, and those will be longer because that will be the educational sales process. And then from that point forward, it'll only be 20 to 30 minutes, and I'll cover one specific topic. So in other words, I'll always remind them of the headline and the subtopics, and then we'll do a deep dive into one of the topics, the pros and cons, the good and bad news, and then we always finish with the follow-up with the doctor who sent you here, who's been certified in this documentation process. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of how this thing's gonna go. But I think I think this is going to have a tremendous effect, just across the board. I think this thing's really going to take off. So I'm pretty excited about it. This is one of the most exciting things that we're looking forward to doing this year. Now, we need to do a trial period. Okay, in other words, we got to make sure people have the links up, the embeds up, the marketing, all that stuff going. So I've got to walk through the steps of, okay, here's the marketing, here's the jumbo cards, here's the short process to push people to sign up. So it's all automated. So they get these links every week. It's all automated to go live. And if they miss it, they get the follow-up recording, which is like one of the best advantages of the internet for marketing. That's I'd say the 2 most important things about the internet is video and automated follow-up. Those are probably the 2 most beneficial things of the internet relative to everything relative to marketing. So that's how that will be looking. Okay, so we're going to go through. We're going to spend the next couple of weeks going through setting all this stuff up. What should the page look like? What should be on the page? Here's the embed code, all that stuff. And then I want to run at least 1 or 2 trials to make sure it's all functioning and the lights turn on when you flip the switch and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But so far so good. I've tested it out on my site, and put the embed code in and everything. So far so good. And you'll see it live, kind of like I don't know if you guys have ever seen me do a live, because I don't think I've done a live presentation for the personal, or I've done them live, but I haven't done it in seminar style. It's usually like this for the desk presentation. It's not going to be like this, what you're seeing right now. It's going to be me live on a whiteboard, just like if they were sitting in the seminar. That's the interactive part with it. Now, what else is interesting about this is I'm going to allow for questions at the end. And what they're going to be able to do is and I'm going to push that they can bring their cases up. And I'll go over their case with them to see what is missing to help support their injury awards. Now, I'll only do that for the attorneys who are referring to our doctors. So that's another tremendous advantage and benefit of these attorneys working with you. So it'll be 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll push them back to you for follow-up on how it all comes together. And then they can also tap in right then live and ask questions specifically about cases they have and how to clean them up. Okay? So they get the use of an expert witness at no charge. So I'm pretty excited about this thing, where it's headed and what we're doing. So I will be starting out to put the steps together. The first thing I'll do is I'm going to clean this up, all the words that we want on this. This is a rough draft that I just went over with you. And then I'm going to create the jumbo postcards. And then all you have to do is get the template. I'll have them made here locally. And then all you have to do is order them, get the template, and fill in your information, your office name, your phone number, blah, 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 and your link. So it'll be an unbelievably easy template done for you. You just get it from my printer, put your information in. Matter of fact, you can just have him do it and order them and, send them to you. So we're going to get those done. I'm going to get this information not only on the marketing to push them to it and have that system down, but also the steps to get them to it, and then the website itself. So this is what the website should look like. In other words, so I essentially just give you the content and say, okay, just copy and paste this into, create a separate site. And I'll talk about that, how to get that done. But we are going to use the how to stop. Just so you do know, I have the domain name howtostoplowballoffers.com. That is the website that is going to be embedded and coming through. But you're going to be able to embed it into your website, as a syndicator. But I've decided to stick with that as the title because that is the most motivating title, How to Stop Lowball Offers, period. So that we do want that in the link. So that's why we're going to name your page. It'll be yourwebsite.com/How to Stop Lowball Offers. That's what your link will be. When I get into that a little bit more, I'll cover it. But for you guys that are not aware about pages and posts of a website, most people aren't familiar with this, but we want that domain name to be yourdomainname.com/ whatever your website is / How to Stop Lowball Offers. So that's the title. Now, you can put it in a page or a blog post. But you have to be aware, if you put it into a page and it's a secondary page, in other words, if it's not a primary page, then it'll have the primary page in front of it. So let's say your primary page is auto injury, and then under auto injury, you put this page, How to Stop Lowball Offers. Well, then your link will be your website name.com / auto injury / How to Stop Lowball Offers, and you don't want that. So I'll explain that a little bit more when I go into the page. But either it has to be a primary page or throw it into a post. And the post always connects the title to the domain name. So the easiest way for you might be just to throw it into a post. Okay, so anyway, I'll give all that to you. Now, there's no charge for this. If you're a client of mine, there's no charge for this. I am charging outside because there's a lot of my past clients that want to be involved with this. So I am charging $297 a month if you're not a client to have access to this whole educational sales series. If you're a client, if you're a personal injury client or a consultant client, there's no charge. So pretty cool what we're looking at here. All right, let me open it up to see. I've kind of lobbed the first shot across the deck here to kind of set the stage, and as you can see, we're moving forward. We're moving forward. So let me open it up to see if you guys have any questions. Now, here's what it'll happen. We won't rush into this. So what I'll do in this order is I'll clean this up, because this is also going to go on that page, on your website page where the embed video is. So let me clean this up, get it to you, but we'll have that done by next week. Also by next week, we should have the templates of the jumbo cards done also. You should get your list together. And then also, by next week, I'm shooting to have the link made. So I'll go over the information for the page, give you the content for your page, some of the specifics you need to be aware of, the do's and don'ts of your page, to get it ready. Okay. And then we'll do a trial run, 1 or 2 weeks, to make sure it's, you send out the link to yourself, put in the password, click it on. How does it all look and sound? Blah blah blah. Make sure everything's functioning right. And after we do a good dry run once or twice, we say, okay, everything's connected, everything's working. We go live. And remember, I told you it's going to have the look of the seminar. In other words, I'm going to be in a suit against my whiteboard, just like if they were sitting in the seminar live. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think this is going to have huge potential, to be honest with you. Go ahead and if you have any questions about this, obviously this is the first stage, and this will take about a 2 or 3 or even a 4-week time period to roll it out, get it up and going, and actually start it. But you can see it's not going to be just, here's the link, go. Okay.
Paul?
Yeah.
I think this is the greatest thing you've done ever. I think it's going to be wonderful.
I do too, man. I think this is going to be huge.
I think it is too. They just need to hear your voice, and they know what that you know what you're talking about, and it's going to be great, wonderful.
Especially you guys that have seen my presentations.
Yes.
You've been to a live presentation, right?
Yeah, and you do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, that's going to, between the content and my comfort level and delivering and all that. That's why this thing's. I feel really strong about this thing.
Well, good job. Thank you.
So, and then that's how we'll create the affiliate relationship for you. So you guys get all the credit and the authority. And obviously what you want to do is you want to push every attorney in your area. You want to push them on to sign up for this thing, to get them into the autoresponder and to catch them live, And then I'll go into the follow-up too, the whole multi-step. You don't want to just leave them alone. You want to, we'll call every now and then, see how things are going, blah, blah, blah. But I'll lay it out real clean. But, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. And as you guys know, everybody's a lot more comfortable with the internet and presentations and talking because of this COVID thing, and a lot of people using Zoom. So there's a tremendous more comfort level with presentations and interactions on the internet now.